Our movie starts with us seeing a woman drowning in the sea, and she keeps floating until she comes to the surface, and suddenly Brandon wakes up scared, and we know that he was having a nightmare, and we find out that Brandon works as a bodyguard for Ava, the minister's daughter, and they are both sitting at the airport traveling, and Brandon keeps telling her that he feels guilty all the time and accuses himself of being the reason for her mother's death because he couldn't save her, and then they pack their bags and go travel, and her good friend Carl arrives, and we know that they are traveling together, the three of them, and they are very upset that Brandon is coming with them, and she tries to calm them down and tells them that her father would never have agreed that she travel without guards, and that she convinced him of the idea of traveling, and then the trip begins and they go on the plane, and all the excitement begins from that moment, and we see Ava and her friends riding next to some people are very happy, and at that moment Ava notices that the number of passengers is very small, and she is very surprised, and then a severe shake occurs in the plane, and everyone gets nervous, of course, and then the pilot keeps reassuring them that nothing is wrong, and that they do not need to worry because it is due to air turbulence, and he tells them everyone to fasten their seatbelts and stay in their places, but the plane keeps shaking more and the situation gets worse, and the passengers, of course, get very scared and do not understand what is happening, and they know that the plane's main engine is burning and damaged, and the whole plane is out of balance, and a large part of the engine is broken and hits the plane's window and breaks, and the pressure of the plane increases. Everything around them is flying, and people are flying from everywhere. Even people are flying around them from the amount of air, and some of them get hurt, and some even die because some people do not even have time to fasten their seatbelts. And suddenly a large part of the plane falls, and they are exposed to the air. More and more people fall from the plane, and Brandon tries to grab the man next to him and save him, but unfortunately he can't, and the man falls from the plane, and we also see the flight attendant trying to save someone in front of her, and she and the man fall, and the whole world is literally destroyed, and the plane starts to fall and lose control completely and falls into the ocean with great force, and water is entering everywhere and creating strong pressure, and Brandon puts a large piece of metal in it, and it goes, and all the chairs keep hitting each other because of the rush of water, and the plane goes down deeper and deeper and gets deeper until it stops on a large rock and prevents it from hitting the bottom, and the plane stays hanging in this place, and it stays, and because of the rock there is a part of the plane that is tilted and no water reaches it, and this part is where Ava and her friends and the flight attendant Daniel are, and we find that Kyle's arm is broken and a bone is visible from the severity the hit, and then they hear a strange sound coming from the water around them, and they get very scared, and Bella finds that Brandon is with a little girl named Rosa and her grandmother Marty, and she is completely unconscious, and Daniel tries to give her first aid and is able to save her, and she wakes up and asks about her husband and learns from them that he died, and they all get very scared and start to lose their nerves, and Brandon at that time tries to calm them down and tells them that as long as there is oxygen and they are able to breathe, they are safe, and that they have to stay calm to be able to think, and Ava tries to call her dad but finds that there is no network on her cell phone, and she gets more scared and offers them to get out of the plane's hatch and go to the sea surface, but Brandon convinces them that this way is not safe and that they have to wait here, and Daniel tells them that the pilot called for help before the plane sank and that they have to wait for sure the rescue teams will come and reach them, and Brandon keeps telling them that it is important to keep the oxygen in reserve so that if anything happens, and Daniel tells him that there are 2 oxygen tanks available for emergencies, and when he sees them, he finds that they are both empty, and at that time, Marty thinks that one of the passengers was an eyewitness and had an oxygen tank, and Brandon is happy and decides to go and get it, and Marty asks him to bring her a hat for her husband so that she can stay with her. Brandon goes down into the water, and they are sold in the aisle of the plane. He sees that everyone is dead, and he finds Marty Snuts, and he takes the cylinder and searches for oxygen, and Bella throws him and takes him, and Baker is able to find anything that could benefit them. And suddenly a large shark appears in front of him and bites, and Brando tries to save himself and keeps hitting the shark, and Baker does not surrender to death, and at this time, Ava and those with her feel worried because they hear a strange sound, and he sees water there is a high wave. And Brandon comes and asks Ava not to come near him and gives them the hat and oxygen and apologizes to Ava and takes the shark and walks, and they all see her and are very scared and they do not know how to act or what to do, and they all get up and use cannon, and Marty tells Kylie to help him because she used to be a nurse in the army and she knew her husband in the army, and she tries to put the bone that came out of its place, and he keeps making sounds from the pain, and she is able to cast his hand from the magazines that are around them, and we see at that time the helicopter close to the place where the plane fell, and we know that they are searching for the plane that fell, and they have orders to find the plane by any means because the minister's daughter is in it, and the whole country is upside down, and they look everywhere, and there is no trace of them around them, and we go back to the sea, and there is another tremor, and we know that the water started to tilt more and was about to reach their place, and Bella and the whole sea was the color of blood, and they knew that the shark had entered to eat all the bodies in the plane, and they got more scared, and Beto and the shark kept circling around them and pushing at the plane, and Rose got very scared, and her grandmother kept hugging her and reassuring her and telling her not to worry, that someone will definitely find us now and save us, and we see the helicopter is still looking for them and they can't find it, and the plane's fuel is about to run out, and at this time Ava is telling her friends that they have 4 hours at most ahead of them, and the water will sink the whole plane, and they have to find a solution, and they hear a voice coming from above them, and Bella says that there is a leak and water is coming down from the ceiling as well, and Jade tells them that the plane can't take much longer and that it will sink very soon, and suddenly the plane goes down with them even more, and they try to hold on to each other so that no one dies until it stops on a rock again and stops, and nothing happens to any of them, but because of what happened, the color of the water increased and got very close to them, and they keep thinking of a solution to their problem. Ava tells them that the only solution is for them to get out of the plane and stand until they reach the surface, and that they have to be careful of the sharks until they arrive. Rose tells them that she knows how to swim, meaning she is good and can do it, and that she learned in school that sharks are afraid of the bubbles that are made in the water, and that they can use this method to keep the sharks away from them. But they find that they have one problem, which is oxygen. Kyle remembers that he saw people riding with them and they had diving equipment with them. Daniel tells them that these things must be in the luggage room and that there is an opening from here that leads to this room. He tells them that this place is very narrow and dark and difficult for anyone to reach the room from it, and they all become pessimistic and feel that the plan will not succeed. Ava gets very upset and goes to the bathroom and keeps crying from frustration. Then she tries to calm down and goes out and reassures Rosa, telling her that everything will be fine and that they will get out of here soon. Then we learn that the helicopter has 15 minutes left and its fuel is running out. Suddenly, they find parts of the plane on the sea surface. Divers go down to look for the plane and rescue anyone who is alive. They are able to reach the plane. Ava and those with her signal to them, and they know that they are alive. One of the divers goes and enters through the hole, and the second one keeps reassuring those around that he is rescuing them. At this time, the shark comes from behind, and they try to tell it to move away, and it comes, but it no longer understands anything and looks but does not find anything. Then the shark approaches it very quickly, and they eat. The shark keeps hitting the plane everywhere, and they get very scared. After a while, he sees from the window a man like that, a diver, floating in the water, and he thinks that there is someone else with him. They run to see him. They find blood like that in the water near them, and Bataker is like that too. We return to the helicopter, and the pilots decide that they must walk because the fuel is running out and there is no other solution left for them. They know the authorities exactly where the plane is and ask them to send help quickly. We return to the ocean again, and Ava tells them that they must take the oxygen that the divers have. She goes down into the water to see what is there, and he comes very close to help her. Suddenly, he turns and falls into the water, frozen, and they all remain very afraid for him. He suddenly appears and says that he was joking with them, and that he is good, and he is still continuing his words. The shark suddenly comes and eats his leg, and they keep pulling at him and trying to stop him. They save him by the way, and they are able to save him from the shark, and they take him inside, and the shark bites off his whole leg, and Mardet asks Rosa at that time to stand behind the curtain until she treats his wound because she does not want to see that sight, and she tries to ease his grip and uses the safety belt and keeps tying his leg well to hold it together, and she is able to stop the bleeding, and then he starts crying and tells them that Now he will not be able to participate in any other race and that his life will stop. And then they decide to implement Ava's plan, and Ava goes down to get the equipment from the room, and they open the door and her corridor is full of water, and she takes a highlight with her and keeps swimming, and she is scared and searches for the equipment, and suddenly she finds an octopus in her face, and she is very scared and is kidnapped to reach the equipment, and all of this while they sit and wait and are scared because she is late and the light goes out and they do not know how to act. Suddenly, Ava comes back with the bags and opens them, and Bella has everything they need inside, but they only find 4 masks instead of 5. At that moment, they hear a loud bang in the plane, and they run to see what's going on, and they realize that the shark is circling around them. After that, they return and find Jay dead. Ava is very upset with him and keeps pressing on his heart and trying to help him. She keeps crying a lot. Marty tries to wake her up and tells her that he's dead and there's no hope. They find the plane is bigger and it's about to sink, and part of it is falling and the water is increasing very noticeably. They decide that they have to get out of the plane quickly, and they decide to use all the equipment they have to help them get out, and they use the bubble movement to keep the shark away from them. They decide to collect all the oxygen in the plane to use it. At that moment, Kyle is scared and doesn't want to go with them. Ava keeps calming him down and insisting that he comes with them and that he must try to live. Then he is convinced by her words and agrees to swim. They start getting ready, and Marty volunteers that she doesn't have a mask because she is an old woman and won't be able to reach the surface, and that she will stop from moving. She keeps getting Rose ready, and then Ava says goodbye before leaving. Suddenly, the plane starts moving violently and a large part of it falls, and the whole place is about to be filled with water. Ava keeps saying that she should take Rose and go down while they come after her. They both start to get up and see the shark and make bubbles. He gets scared and moves away, and he is able to and counts. Then Kyle and Daniel also go out. At this time, Marty keeps saying that she would prefer to stay in the plane and die with her husband because she knows that she won't be able to swim all this time and she won't be able to live without her husband. We see Kyle. He feels that he is scared, and his house returns to the place again and raises his head and tries to breathe and calm down, and Daniel returns to see him and help him. But suddenly the shark approaches Kyle and attacks him and keeps eating him, and Daniel is able to escape quickly before the shark sees him, and Ava, Rosa, and Bella the dead diver are like this, and they take the oxygen he has, and the 3 of them try to breathe well. At that time, Ava asks Daniel to take Rosa and go ahead of her, and she is about to get out after them, and the shark keeps running after her, but Ava is able to hide from him, and he passes by her and does not see her, and his tail hits her mask and she falls, and she tries to escape quickly, but the plane at that time is already falling and the water keeps pushing her in the opposite direction, and she tries to swim and resist with all her strength to get out of the plane by any way, and in the end, she is able to escape through the plane's hole and gets out. In the ocean, she keeps swimming and is about to reach the surface, and at that moment the water cuts off and she loses consciousness, and the water keeps lifting her up until she reaches the surface, and then she wakes up and gets scared because she doesn't see anyone around her, and then the helicopter sees her and pulls her up, and she finds Rosa and Daniel, and she knows that they are fine, and Rosa asks her about her grandmother, but she tells her that she died and she couldn't save her, and Rosa gets very upset and keeps crying and throwing her favorite toy in the sea to stay with her grandparents, and she sleeps in Ava's boat, reassured. Our movie ends like this, unfortunately. Don't forget to tell us your opinion on this movie is in the comments, and you can also suggest movies with summaries in the comments. Don't forget to like,